Mysterium Park. So our daughter requested that we learn something new that she could play that was good for adults too. So that was her criteria. And so my husband picked out this game. So this game is a light version of Mysterium, which is essentially one of the players acts as a medium and tries to give all the other players clues.
One player acts as a ghost. All the other players are mediums.
Right. Anyway, and they give them clues to find out, in this game, who's not the murderer, which is the opposite, suspect. Anyway, so very similar. This
one takes place in an amusement park. That's the difference. It's specifically...
Well, it sounds almost more like a circus, too.
It's an amusement park / circus. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got roller coasters and rides and
Ferris wheels and
pictures. They're not like we're.
Yeah, you don't actually get your own amusement park.
That would be a moss.
It would be a really tiny fitting in that box.
It's for ants.
Okay, let's go into quality of pieces. So the Mysterium meeples are just the same as from this to this game.
Well, those could be meeples. They're crystal balls, but I don't know if you
can call them meeples. The player token, the player piece is the same. Instead of the ravens that you actually get tickets to like rides instead of using the ravens or crows. And then this is to determine whether it's right or not. It's another cardboard piece. And then the cards. I think with Mysterium, it's really where the cards are at. And we'll talk about the art with theme.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference in this one is how the ghost handles they don't have a screen in this one like in a Mysterium. Instead, it's replaced with these basically code name style
cards. Going into playthrough.
Well, I'm just showing that the difference. I mean, that's really a substantial difference between the
we'll talk about that in gameplay. So let's rate the pieces. How was the card finish for you guys? I don't think it was linen finish.
No, it's the same quality as in what's in Mysterium. There's no difference. It's super thin, glossy quality of cards.
There's not as many cool things in this one since it's a smaller base.
Yeah, and you don't have the screen. I mean, to me this is almost like a portable version of Mysterium.
Mm-hmm. So quality pieces, give it a rating.
I'd say probably a 6.
Yeah, probably on this one it's a 6. I mean, what pulled it up, I think, on the other one, if I remember right, was the screen and the quality of it, which this doesn't have that. So taking that away, I mean, the board's nice.
Well, the player pieces are cool. It's not just your standard meeple. So I'm actually going to give this a 7 because I feel it's a little bit better in some aspects. But the quality of cards really kind of take it down a bit. I think the board's plenty thick enough. The other cardboard pieces are fine. It's really just lackluster in the cards. Okay.
What do you think of the quality?
I think it deserves a 7. It's really nice, and my favorite part about this thing is the meeples or whatever.
The crystal balls?
Yeah. So let's go into theme. So the theme, again, it's very similar to Mysterium, except this time it has more of like that circus roller coaster theme. Haunted kind of circus kind of theme.
What's interesting on this one is you have less variance because of that, because like all of the suspects are people you might find at the circus or amusement park, as opposed to with Mysterium, it's more in general. You have different categories,
and then all the locations are all related.
To I mean,
circus,
we had
which made it hard.
It made it harder in the sense that all the locations are
very similar.
Very similar. Could possibly share similarities.
Okay, I mean, we'll discuss more into that gameplay as playing the ghost side.
But it's the same kind of art.
It's a big part of the theme, though.
It's the same kind of art. It's very pretty, very pretty art. All of the components give you that eerie vibe, which is really cool. And there's.
I will say, whoever does Mysterium, their art is really top notch.
Yeah.
Like I love all the card art, everything about it.
I think it's
really
a group
suits.
of people.
Well,
I would like them to come do art some for my basement. That would be nice.
It would.
So, no, I think they do a fantastic job with art. Let's give it a score, guys.
I'll give it a 9.
A 9 for you? All right, Robert.
9.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a 9. I mean, I think I can't remember, but I think Mysterium theme we give it a 10.
I think so.
This is slightly not quite as good because there's not as much to it, I think, as opposed to, that's really the big difference between this and Mysterium is it doesn't have the ghost board. It doesn't have a lot of the stuff as far as in
doesn't have the fancy clock.
And it's a small player count too. I mean, this plays up to 5 versus up to 7, right?
No, this plays up to 6. You've got 5 suspects
and the ghost.
And the ghost.
Not suspects.
I mean, I do think the theme's consistent throughout. I do think they've set it on a theme. It does impact gameplay a little bit, and we'll talk more about that during the gameplay part of it. So I'm all, but I still am going to give this a 9. The art, you just can't beat the art, and whatever negativities, that art just really pumps this out to get a high score. All right, so let's move to rules.
Rules are very simplistic. Especially if you've played Mysterium, which obviously we all have, except for Sarah. This is her first time playing. It's 11 pages of small rule book because it wouldn't fit in this box otherwise. It's got all the standard sections, setting up, the playthrough, the component list. I mean, nothing unique about it. So it didn't really have it would have been nice, I guess, to have a section to say what are the differences between this and Mysterium for Mysterium players. But I think it's more geared to people who don't have Mysterium, I think, more so than people who do.
I think I was going to bring that up during the gameplay part of it. So,
but yeah, I mean, as far as the rules, they're fine. They're very easy to read, assuming you don't get distracted by singing children or.
Well, yeah. So what would you score?
I'll give it an 8. It's well done.
So let's talk about gameplay. So let's talk about, as players, what did you guys think about it?
Although I thought it was tougher in some regards to regular Mysterium, it definitely feels more streamlined and easier to approach than what regular Mysterium is. So I think this would be a good way to teach it to someone who's never played it at all. And if you like Mysterium Park, then you can upgrade to Mysterium.
I'm kind of the other.
Really?
I personally, if I'm going to choose between the two, I'm going to choose Mysterium every day.
I understand because you played both.
But I don't think Mysterium's hard to learn. The purpose for this to me is traveling. I can put this into my suitcase much easier than I can Mysterium and play it somewhere. Whereas this is a portable version to me. It feels like Mysterium Light. When you're playing it, it doesn't have.
Well, I think setup is nowhere near as long.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's easier to set up.
And I think there's less bits involved. So I think it does go to your portability, but also to my point. It's more approachable.
I'm just saying that I don't think Mysterium itself is that hard. I think it's an entry level game either way. So if I were to choose which one I would get, I would choose Mysterium over this every day.
But this is also a time factor thing. Mysterium has a lot of setup time. This didn't.
Right.
And so if you're in a time crunch, but you want to fit a game in, this might be a good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm feeling kind of Mysterium, but I don't got the time.
Knock it out. I mean, this probably took us less than an hour to play this, whereas regular Mysterium can take out hour and a half.
Yeah. So if you're short on time and you want to fit a small game in, I think this fits a niche. I really do.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that if you're making the decision and trying to decide between buying one or the other, buy Mysterium.
Well, I mean, it depends on your need, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have a small table or you don't have to fit the long. So there's several things that you.
Yeah, it's nowhere near the table hog either.
Yeah, it's nowhere near that. So I think that's some things that you need to consider. And there's some spaces where we've had a hard time doing Mysterium because with the screen, trying to get in a location that people couldn't see the screen. So it's just keep in mind when you go through and look at those different aspects when you go to purchase. As the ghost, I will say that I found it a lot more difficult to give clues because everything was circus themed. The cards weren't circus themed. I mean, there were a few, but a lot of them I was like, what does this robot have anything to do with the circus or this there was just a lot of cards. I'm like, I can't fit this anywhere. And I ended up burning my ravens what I felt to be fairly fast. I burnt 2 just on getting the people through. So I found it a lot more difficult. And not only that, though, and maybe it's because we're playing with so few players, because normally when you have 5, you can,
Yeah, more people helping each other.
Yeah, well, and not only that, though, but you have, I can get rid of 2 cards. Oh, I get 2 more. Okay, get another card I can draw. So you can go through your hand a bit more when you have a few more players. So maybe that was why I was getting a little frustrated with, I can't get these people through. We ended up winning, but
to be fair, we got through in what 4 or 5 rounds. I mean, it wasn't.
Well, I thought there was a motive run, and I was getting very nervous. I was like, I'm not sure we can get through motive.
That's one of the big differences between this. There's only 2 rounds in the game,
right.
And then the final. And in Mysterium, you go through the 3 rounds and then the final, and that makes a huge difference in this.
Well, I wouldn't say rounds. You got 2 opportunities to solve to be able to solve. Yeah, and then you have to solve the overall murder.
It's 6 rounds in this game. Yeah, I think Mysterium is 7.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, you have 2 items you're trying to solve, which is suspect and location, whereas in Mysterium, it's suspect, location, and either object or motive.
Right.
And to me, it's more in depth and more advanced of a game, but it's still easy to learn. It's not like any round plays different.
Well, I will say this: only if you have an experienced ghost. If you're trying to set up Mysterium and no one knows how to play the ghost, I think it actually would be very intimidating. To be quite honest with you.
I mean, we played it. We learned it at one point or another with.
But you didn't have anything to compare it to.
But you played Ghost the first several times we played, and then I said I wanted to learn.
But I had to learn how to be a ghost the first time I played too. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're very familiar with games, so.
I just don't find Mysterium to be that intimidating.
I don't think so. But if you're not very familiar with games, and you try to pick up the ghost side, I do think that's a little difficult.
Yeah,
I had a hard time trying to do the ghost the first time. I didn't think the rules were very friendly for the ghost, and so I had a tough time.
Yeah, playing the ghost was super easy and straightforward. And this might get people used to being able to play the ghost, so when they go to Mysterium, they can be a little more. I always like playing the ghost more in Mysterium anyway.
I don't ever get the chance.
I know, because me and Randy fight over it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. I don't like it when Mom and Dad fight. So.
I didn't even fight. I conceded it this time before you ever got here because I played
what
last
did you think? Did you have fun? What was your favorite part of the game?
I think where we figured out where the thing was.
Yeah, you found the murderer?
No, but when we got our cards and had to think really hard to figure out where it belonged.
Yeah, that was tough, huh?
That was, and I think that was fun.
Did you?
Did Mommy do okay giving you clues?
On the one that I had 3 cards on or 2, that was a hard one. Mommy, you can't do that. Can't do that.
Okay. Well, let's give it a score, guys.
For the whole game?
For the whole game.
A day, 100.
A 100?
100.
You can't do 100.
Yes, I can.
You can do a 10.
She can do whatever she wants.
I'm doing 100.
Okay.
All right.
It's a good.
What would you give it?
I don't care for this one as much as Mysterium, obviously. Mysterium is a 10 for me. This one I would probably give more like an 8.5.
Okay.
I think I'd give it an 8. I enjoyed it. It's fun.
Yeah. I would also think I would also give it an 8. I will say I wish the cards were the hint cards or those were a little more appropriate to the theme to make it a little bit easier, but I guess that would also make it a little bit harder too. So
stat wise, we didn't go over that, so we need to go over the information. So this is a 2020 release. The designer is Alexander Nevsky and Oleg Sidorenko. The artist is Xavier Collette and an M81 Studio. So I'm assuming that's probably a larger group of people because I never heard of M81 Studio.
I think they work for the British Secret Service.
They might.
Yeah.
And then the MSRP is $29.99, but it is cheaper at most game stores.
Yeah. Is it worth the cost?
Oh, I think so.
I mean, it's certainly.
You get a lot of beautiful art for $30.
Yeah, I mean, this one is definitely one that if I'm going to someone's house and want to teach them Mysterium, I can throw this in my bag and easily not take up half my space and have to clean it up and all the cards.
Yeah, you can take more games.
Yeah, and not have cards spilled everywhere because of just trying to port Mysterium.
And if people try to borrow it from you, you can just give them this instead of the actual Mysterium. I think this game definitely has a place. It definitely has a good functionality to it as far as where it can take place. So I really enjoyed tonight. So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a blast tonight, and hopefully you did too. Hopefully you would like to join us again. To do so, you just have to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to hang out with our family again. We love hanging out with you guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.